I proudly get to introduce some friends of mine who are going to be talking about techniques, tools in post-production. We have Megan from Adobe. Oh, wait, we have last minute AV instructions.
That was the first thing.
We good? Again, Megan from Adobe and AJ, who makes amazing, brilliant productions. And today they're going to talk to you through a little bit of kind of the new tools and techniques that are coming out that are available now, right? They're in beta and you guys can rock it. So with that, I'm going to get off the stage because they're far more interesting than I am. I'm John Canning from AMD. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, John. Hey, everybody. As John mentioned, my name is Megan Keene. I am Director of Product Marketing for Pro Video at Adobe. But basically what that means is I lead our business strategy around video tools. Some that you may know, Premiere, After Effects. I also work very closely with our Firefly team on a lot of the AI innovation that we're bringing into the tools. But my background is in filmmaking. So I spent about 10 years as a documentary filmmaker, also worked in commercials. I would love to find out a little bit about you, though. So by a show of hands, how many in the audience would call themselves an editor? Okay. And how many in the audience would call themselves a creator? Some of the same hands. Okay, great. And some new. Great. It's good to just anchor ourselves on this conversation because as you saw, that the title of our session is Creators in Post-Production. And I am joined by my good friend and very talented creator, AJ Bleyer. We thought we would start by showing you a little of his work to get you grounded in some of the types of work that AJ does and what we're talking about today. But what Okay, so AJ, just to ground everybody in who you are and the perspective of the conversation, tell us a little bit about the work that you do.
Yeah, first off, I'm stoked to be here with her. This is like she's a big deal, you guys. And honestly, is it anyone's first NAB ever? Oh my God. Okay. Straight up, something that I wish someone would have told me my first one is it's so overwhelming the first year that for a couple years I was like, am I doing it wrong? Like there's so much. And something I just wish someone told me is like a lot of the takeaways from a show like this, they kind of hit you like the week after when you're back home and you're back in your own like station and you're kind of thinking about some of the stuff you picked up. So don't worry about it. You're here, you're like seeing stuff, you're doing it right. So that's something I just wish someone told me. Name's AJ. I'm a DJ director and an editor, a self-taught filmmaker, like so many people here, a product of the kind of YouTube university. And as someone who used to just poke around and learn Adobe stuff one YouTube tutorial at a time, it's always kind of a weird thing because on one hand you go like, oh my God, there was a button for that this whole time, and then you go like, oh my God, there was a button for it the whole time, like I know nothing. And just to poke around enough and get to a place where I get to like be here with Adobe and talk about how I poke around is super cool. So I'm super pumped to be here. I've kind of found it was interesting. The first time I realized the job was evolving for me was when we were getting digital cameras. Like my first camera was a Canon Rebel, like a little DSLR, and those started to do photo and video. And I remember I would then, if I did a shoot, because my camera could do both, I would do photo and video. And people were like, whoa, that's crazy. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I like to do both. Why not? And then I learned kind of how to edit photo and video. And slowly, as you begin to take on more in production, suddenly you're finding yourself learning about lenses. Suddenly you're learning about sound design a little bit. And you just start to learn more and more and more stuff as we begin to do all of it ourselves.
Who is this relating
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And before it was like, like seas of white trucks and like messing up parking for a neighborhood at a time to get something like this done. But now it's we're empowered to do more and more of it ourselves, which is cool. But one of the big things, like this is a crazy year for Adobe for a billion reasons, is this color mode. I love color. Look, I'm a creator. I care about how things look, but I don't have any more brain space for another program or something like that. And so I would do what I could do in Premiere, but it was something I just never really took the time to learn because it was just always an over there thing. And one of the big announcements this year, I don't want to take your thunder, is like, you could speak about more than anyone else, is that's a big, big thing. Has anyone heard about like the new Adobe Color stuff popping around? It's a big thing this year. I want to hear your thoughts about it because you've been part of this system for a long time.
Yeah, it's interesting because color mode is our big news at the show this year. But the reality is that, and for those of you who haven't heard about it, color mode is a whole reimagined way for working with color inside Premiere that is purpose-built for editors. So it's not meant to be a deep specialist, only a professional colorist who's spent 10,000 hours learning color science can understand. It's meant to be intuitive and user-friendly so that the newest editor all the way to somebody who really does understand and want to go deep with color, everybody can find some incredible value and depth in the tool. The reality is that what we have released here at the show into Premiere Beta is the culmination and the starting line of a lot of work. So anybody who's really followed along with Premiere over the last few years, about a year and a half ago, we released color management. So if you think about buying an old house and you are wanting to renovate the house, but you realize that the plumbing is messed up. And like, you got to deal with the plumbing before you can renovate your kitchen, right? So that was color management. We tore out all of the ways of working with color inside Premiere from a base level and rebuilt the foundation. Then earlier this year, we released something called Object Mask. How many in the audience have heard about Object Mask? So Object Mask is our new hover and click AI-powered masking. You'll see a little bit of that in a minute, but Object Mask, in doing that work, we also said, now wait, we really have to address the underlying masking and tracking work inside of Premiere. So we readdressed all of that. Now with color mode, color management plus new masking and tracking plus Object Mask plus color mode means that there is this super robust way of working with color with precision and control that enables editors to really get great color without having to really understand the math and science underneath it. So we want to open it up and show a little bit about what we're doing here.
And it's sick, by the way. Like I love Premiere and I've been editing in Premiere for a long time. I'm not an After Effects guy. No shade. That's smarter than me. I saw like a null object and I was like, nope, that's right. That's where I get off this train. I don't know what the heck's going on there. There are some incredible new features, both in color and in object masking, that are just you should be aware of if you dance in this program.
Yeah, so just to give you guys a little bit of an understanding of the some of the UX changes, when you go in, so up here you'll notice import, edit, color, export, right? So this is color, you know this one, that's your edit, right? You effects control, all that. You go into color and all of a sudden your program monitor becomes the main focus, right? Because you really want to get in and see your visuals and be able to get in and see it big and beautiful. Along the right-hand side, you'll see that there's the sequence all laid out in visual thumbnails. So you can scroll through and see the way that your color is working across your sequence in reference to the other clips. Along the bottom, you'll see that these are all of our color controls. And the color controls are really interesting because they look unassuming, but they are extremely powerful. And here's why. When you click on any of these color controls, you will see a heads up display that pops up. And each color control has a unique heads up display that is referencing the area that you are working with. So right now we're in contrast. Now I've clicked on contrast. And what happens when I go left and right is that it increases and decreases the contrast. Your trackpad is so not sensitive.
Sorry, it's been hurt before.
So right and left, it increases or decreases contrast. Up and down shifts the pivot. So you can see the reaction of that heads up display as you're going up. I'm going up and down, I'm moving the pivot, I'm going right and left, and I'm increasing or decreasing the contrast, see? So then I click and that heads up display goes away. With each of these color controls, so let's go saturation, right? You can see the saturation when I go, oh, I know, but it's like not, you can't, it's just a lot of, oh, sorry. So you can see when you go,
Say my workflow.
do, okay. But you can see that it's impacting the saturation. Now, you might have noticed, AJ, that it seems like the color across this whole frame isn't being impacted. Why is that?
Because we got masking and color, y'all. So in the same way, you have a tool here, right? Object mask, and it works really, really well. Look, being able to make global color adjustments is great. And everyone works in their own way, and that's what's great about post-production. There's no right or wrong. For me, usually you start with like a global adjustment on a clip, and that's fine, but every clip is a little different. And even if you're living in the same color language across a sequence, maybe you're looking into the sun in one clip, or maybe not, or maybe you want to adjust a certain thing, or maybe we're going for like a cool look. You have that masking ability right here. And if you hover, not only are you able to just mask a clip, but you're also able to have it track in a great way. So see how that color is only affecting him? Now that's only on that clip, but check out how easy it is. If I go back, and by the way, looking at the left here, as she pointed out, as Megan pointed out, this is the sequence, not just like a list of clips, which is really handy. To select a clip, it is so easy. Like let's say, ooh, I want to do a different adjustment on that car. I can select my object mask tool. It has a little think, and it picks up the car that well. And that's not, and there's motion and stuff. That thing's blurry, you know? So you can do different kinds of adjustments. Obviously, you can do global adjustments as well, but this is one of those little nuances that take this from like a little Lumetri color kind of great, thing to like a very specific, refined pro color tool. And to her point, I know the sensitivity of my thing isn't high enough for you, but when I found out I was going to demo this, I was like, okay, well, I work mobilely a lot. Do I need to bring a mouse? Right? Because these tools, like, I don't know if I'm doing a big whole thing. This is one of those things where like you can see it here. You have to click on it and see how good these tools are. Exposure might be an easier like one to point out here. I'll do this clip right here.
It actually brings up a good point. Is one thing that we like to say about color mode is it really invites play with color, because you start poking around and you can see a lot of impact of what you're doing. But when we generally at Adobe, when we develop a demo, we go, okay, now you click this clip and then you add this thing and you do this exact thing, and everybody needs to follow this script for this demo. In color mode, we've totally thrown that out the window because we're like, it's so cool to just kind of poke around and see how things, and what we've heard from people who've been in our private beta is that if they don't know about color, they're like, as I'm using color mode, I'm learning about color because
I'm in that category.
I'm seeing how it's impacting the heads up display. I'm seeing how it's impacting my image. The other really cool thing that I wanted to point out is a lot of people maybe who've done color in the past are used to either working in layers or working with nodes. We are introducing a new concept, which we are calling operations. And operations are a color grade that you can add at the clip level, at the sequence level, or at a group level. So you can see here that adjustment that we've added is on the clip right now, but we can just drag it over and drop it on the whole sequence, and it impacts every clip in the sequence. Or if you're working in a sequence where you have, half of the shots were done in daylight, and then you have this, 25% were shot at dusk, and you're needing to really add some more purple, and you're just wanting to work with those dusk clips, you can go over and select some clips and say, what's that?
Yeah, like these two have a different look, right? Those were outdoor shots and these were indoor shots. So if I have a grade that's just specific for these, I don't want it entirely sequence wide. Like let's say, for example, I do a global color adjustment. Like here's the kind of contrast I want. Here's where I want my warms and my shadows and all that stuff. And then I've graded the outside clips, right? It's a separate thing. I can still take the main adjustment I have, apply it to the whole thing, but have like a second operation just for like the indoor stuff. So you can separate that.
So you see that I've selected these bottom 4 clips, and now there's this middle section, which is a group, and you can take that same adjustment and you can be like, you know what, I just want to add it to those 4 clips, and then it does that. As you can probably tell, there is so much here that we can only just scratch the surface of what we wanted to show you. But I did want to leave some opportunity for questions. I also very much encourage you all to stop by the Adobe booth where we're demoing color mode on the reg, I'm sure you can imagine. And a lot of the team, both the product management team, the developers who worked on color mode will be there that can answer questions as well. Oh, and Creator Lab. Yeah, we're doing color mode sessions right here in the Creator Lab training area. So that's fun. Yes. 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 Yeah.
I'm assuming it just by the plus there beside the adjustment one that you can create layers, right? Is that
Oh, heck yeah.
So you can't create layers, but you can create layering of the grade. Yes. So you can add different different modules that sort of come together to make the full operation or adjustment. It's a similar concept, yes. And I will actually call out, I encourage you to check out the training session here in the Creator Lab. However, we also have adobevideotraining.com, which is free training across Premiere, After Effects, and we've added a whole new section of training videos and instruction to really walk you through it. Like I said, color mode is so intuitive and fun to sort of learn by doing. But if you're anything like me and you're like, nope, I want the instructions, I'd like to understand exactly how I should be working with this, adobevideotraining.com is a really great place for those resources. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. I did the color training thing at the booth right here. It's actually phenomenal. But the main question I had was, let's say like it looks like NBA YoungBoy up there, but
It is.
yeah, let's say I wanted you had the object mask on him in one clip, and then you could color him and not the background. Is it possible to do that on multiple clips at once? Does that make sense?
It is. Yes. And that's what's kind of cool about this is like, rather than having to stack a bunch of different Lumetri things, which kind of they make that joke like deep fries your video in a different way. Every one of these adjustments can be saved as its own operation. You can collect all of those and apply them to everything or a selection of clips. So for example, obviously if you mask and track someone, that mask is going to be different on each clip because things move in different ways. But the way that you color grade that mask, you could apply across. So that way the specific things you did for that mask is separated from the global. God, I sound like such a nerd when you say it out loud.
That's genius.
But yeah, and it really is intuitive. I know you explained it. I just it's so fun to toy around with when you click on it, right? Just any of these tools. I used to only use scopes if someone was walking by my desk and I wanted it to look like as impressive as possible to someone who doesn't, you know what I mean? Truly, you just click on it and then you have these two different adjustments, up, right, up or down in different ways. And this is with exposure. You can even just say, I want a global adjustment, or I want it just for highlights or shadows and stuff like that. You can stack all of these as much as you want, apply them to different clips. It's really a time saver and it offers you a lot of modular control. But it wasn't until I kind of saw this kind of double, how do you call it, bidirectional UI, that I realized how archaic the slider thing was for something that's as, I don't know, spherical as color. It gives you a lot of nuance in a really easy way.
Yeah. Yeah, the question is, how is it prioritizing if there's multiple videos across multiple tracks? It'll prioritize whatever the primary video is. So like if you were to click playback into your program monitor, it will just show the clips that are the sort of high in the hierarchy of video tracks. Yes. However, and I'm trying to remember, literally, it's so fun to watch different people demo or walk through this new functionality because I'm learning things literally today. And I'm trying to remember how he did it. That it was that there is a way that you can right click. Is it here? No, that where you can choose to only use certain video tracks. So let's say you have a graphic on your timeline, but you don't want the grade to impact that graphic. You can, I mean, it is kind of fun. I mean, that's one of the things that's really cool about working with graphics in Premiere is you can grade your graphic, but if you don't want to, I need to have Alexis, the color scientist behind this, show me, but there's a way that you can right click and choose like only do video track 1 or yeah.
Another tiny little call out I want to say is when you're looking at these different operations to do, there are these different tabs here in the corner. Like for example, I used to, when I was doing Lumetri stuff, I had some plugins, like a bunch of different LUTs that I liked, and I kind of knew how those worked, and that was an old thing. I still have access to all those traditional LUTs available here too. And then if you select one that you like, I'm going to select one at random. It's probably gonna be weird. That's a weird one. I can select it and I can still adjust the intensity of that on top of everything else. It just becomes its own operation. So it's not like if you have an old workflow, it isn't good at all.
But how did you? But we've actually invented another new concept, which we are calling styles. And styles are basically akin to something, if you're familiar with in Lightroom, like a Lightroom preset, where we have different film emulation styles. So you can see when you say add clip style, and there are all these different cinematic styles. I love when Jason does it because he has these like funny code names that he uses for him.
And also
there's
just
like
previews, like, oh good, like thumbnails, versus just a long list.
So there's just like one-click styles that you can add. But unlike a LUT, which are very rigid and they're very hard to make any adjustments on without totally screwing up the look of your media, they are all, you can finesse them in the way that you want. So maybe you've added the style, but you don't want it to be that, strong. So you can see, I don't know if you can tell, but like, see the strength right there. How when you drag right and left, it like increases or decreases the style of how strong that style is applying to your media. And there's all sorts of different ones. I think right now we probably have about a dozen, but we're looking to have many, many more by the time we bring this to the shipping version in Premiere.
And you're gonna keep clicking around. Like if I go to this clip right here, that has a lot of stuff going on. You'll notice just right here, looking at the whole clip, there's a couple color options that pop up here on the bottom. But those color options are maybe a little bit different than the ones I get on different clips. Why is that? It automatically scans the clip to see what the primary colors are that you would be most likely to want to isolate. And you can obviously add your own or do an eyedropper, but it just kind of serves it right to you. So for example, if I on this clip know that I want the orange on this to be super, super punchy, I can just do that really, really quick. I don't have to go hunting for it, which is just kind of a nice.
Or for example, like in a like for the storytelling, let's say that there's some pertinence to the fact that the red car is at this drag race that's happening, that you can really punch up the red because you just click and then again. Yeah. Oh. Any other questions? Well, Miles thinks you should go and take the color session over in the lab. Yeah.
Color shifts depending on your output. So like Rec 709, or does this have the ability to, you have your raw footage, whichever camera you shot on, can you convert to make sure you're getting proper color, or is it just?
Oh my God, the guy's a celebrity sighting. Yeah. This is Mr. Color. Are you kidding me? I'm so hi.
So this is Jason from my team. He led all of the business strategy behind Color Mode and is literally the evangelist for the cult of color.
It's a fun cult. Ooh, really fun. That's a hot mic. What was the question, my friend?
I'm just curious. So I'm a colorist, and I'm just wondering how in depth this can go rather than me swapping to multiple software. I'm curious. I always convert my clips, right? So if I shot on whatever camera I shot on, I'm converting to my proper output for color. So
You will be shocked at how deep it goes under the hood and chill out and user facing. For color management, we actually completely rewrote our entire color pipeline from scratch. Oh yeah, because we needed a new foundation for what we were actually working on. So yeah, we'll do all the transforms for you. When it comes to depth, let's define depth. What is depth? We've been working in the culture for more than 10 years now that the only way to good color is to get yourself up the curve and study hard enough to learn tools that were never built for video editors, but high-end pro colorists. And if you study hard enough, and if you learn hard enough, and if you fight through it hard enough, you'll have the ability to do a fundamental part of your job. The other option is to accept the low ceiling of Lumetri and fight through that. These two not great options. Solution here is color mode. And it's not just because it's for editors. It's not just because it's in Premiere. Bless you. Although it is cool to have it right next to your edit right there. We challenged the concept of what actually is depth. Is depth and creativity only achieved through extremely advanced scientific mathematical mastery? Or should you be able to have an idea and turn it into a physical reality with a very shallow learning curve to learn the system, and then create your own film density curves and film emulations and contrast ranges by simply moving your mouse up, down, left, right, and without having to understand and keep track of a billion tabs going on to be able to actually see what's happening at the clip level, the group level, the sequence level, dragging and dropping, copying and pasting. Having actual control over how color flows through the sequence, clarity and understanding over what you're actually seeing, and understanding in the HUDs, showing you what you're doing as you're doing it for extremely precise feedback. So when you actually get into styles, film color, contrast kit, flare, those are the serious modules that we have in color mode right now for this first version of public beta. I see a future by the end of next year where we have like 50 modules. I see a future where third-party partners take our toolkits and build their own third-party modules. And I see a world where we take every single film impact effect that is color grading or cinematography adjacent, like Wonderglow, Vignette, list goes on, resurface those as modules to the point where you can build these styles and you have billions of parameters and potential combinations, and then the ability to import them and export them. But having said that, Rec 709? So to get to your question, pardon me, I went down a rabbit hole. Yeah, she gave me that quarterly feedback review yesterday. She was like, listen, sometimes you rabbit hole. And I'm like, I know, it's so exciting. With the color pipeline, you can choose to output your color space to SDR or HDR, right? So it's really all about, you got your Red Raw, you got your Sony S-Log, we're converting in the wide gamut pipeline in an ASUS CCT working color space, and then tone mapping on the output to 709 or HDR or whatever you want. So it is a best-in-class proper HDR pipeline, and every single one of these tools was designed for HDR grading. And so everyone knows, this is not reskinned Lumetri. There's not one line of code from Lumetri in color mode. This is completely rebuilt from scratch. And over the past 3 years, we've hired some of the best color scientists in the world to join Adobe who have built these tools. Yeah.
One more. Okay, guys, last question. Yeah.
Maybe this isn't relevant, but since you're here, like, what is there a pricing model on this already, or is there a release track or way
So this is just included in Premiere. This is part of Premiere. So if you pay for Premiere, you get this.
so kind of like Camera Raw, maybe with in terms of like Photoshop, how you get Camera Raw with Photoshop?
No, this is just like a new way of working with color in Premiere. So there's no add-on, it's nothing additional. In terms of release timing, so it is now in Premiere beta. So does everybody aware how to access beta for Premiere? If you're not, if you open up the Creative Cloud app, you'll see a little like beaker, from like chemistry class. And if you click on that, you can see all the different beta options. You can download the Premiere beta. It sits in parallel with shipping version of Premiere, so you don't have to worry about it being overwriting your, workhorse of Premiere, if that's what you're working in day in, day out. It will be in public beta for a while. I think you should see it coming into shipping soon. We're not allowed to say exactly when. But we basically the reality is that we have been in private beta with color mode for about a year now, and we've worked with hundreds of editors and creators, everyone from like newly starting creators that are just getting started to like deep colorists that are like the geekiest people you've maybe ever met. No offense to Alexis and his friends. But over the last year, we've gotten a lot of feedback, a lot of, feature requests, bugs submitted, and we've addressed most of them. There are a few things that we're like, you know what, let's put this out into public beta and see if this is what the masses also think, that these sort of tweaks and changes. And then we're just hardening the functionality to make sure that it's smooth and as performant and bug-free as it can be. And then we will release it into shipping. So the reason I say all that is because we truly, truly do want your engagement in beta. We want to hear from you what you're liking, what you're wishing it did differently. And the more sort of different system configurations we have color mode run on, the more we can find any little weird, buggy things that might be going on. Cool. I think that's all the time that we have. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you, AJ, for joining me.